Good Shabbos, good Yom Tov. There is a great bit that the comedian Modi does. Modi's going to be the comedian we host in November, thanks to the generosity of the Laker Concert Fund. The comedian Modi, he says, Sephardic Jews, when they want to wish each other a happy holiday, they really know how to do it. Right? What do Sephardic Jews say? Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach, everybody. Chag Sameach. That's what they say. They want to wish everybody a happy holidays. They say Chag Sameach. And if you get a really knowledgeable Sephardic Jew, they'll add psukim, they'll add verses of Torah in there. Zeh hayom asah Hashem nagila v'nismecha vo. This is truly a day that God has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Chag Sameach. And then Modi says, and what do Ashkenazi Jews say to each other to wish each other a happy holiday? Yom Tov. Yom Tov. Yom Tov. And if you go see someone at another shul, please tell them I said Yom Tov. Here we are in the midst of Zman Simchatenu, the season of our joy, so we say Chag Sameach, Yom Tov. It's a weird holiday, Sukkot. This is a weird holiday. If you were to program the calendar year right now, you would not schedule a big holiday so close to Yom Kippur. Let's be honest. You'd spread it out a little bit. And I understand the traditional associations of this holiday. In the ancient world, we had the season of judgment, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and how did our ancestors really come to understand whether they were accepted favorably, their repentance was accepted favorably? They had a good agricultural season. It makes all the sense in the world to me. The rains will come there after Sukkot. They get enough rain, but not too much rain. The crops grow again in the springtime. I understand it from the ancient perspective. But us, if you're going to plan a holiday, would you say, I've got a great idea for a holiday? Not only will we do it right after Yom Kippur, but we're going to make all the Jews go out and build things. They're going to make Jews build things. Then we're going to make them sit outside the whole time and even maybe sleep outside. It's brilliant because, adult Jews love camping. It's brilliant. If you think about all of the aspects of Sukkot, is this how you would plan them right now? And not only that, would you say, in Michigan. Yes, in Michigan, they should have to go eat outside and sleep outside because this is the season always at Sukkot of either the bees or the rain. Chag Sameach. And this is the holiday that we have right now. But I want to ask the question because, again, from the ancient perspective, we understand their sense of fragility. And how in the midst of their fragility, they said, let's make it a season of joy because we'll go out and we'll finish the harvest. And please God, we'll have enough crops to carry us through the wintertime. Please God, there'll be enough rain to begin again the agricultural cycle in the springtime. It makes sense to me. Fragility and joy. But what about in our own time? How do we make sense of this strange immediate juxtaposition of the emotions that we're supposed to feel? The sense of fragility on one hand at Yom Kippur, and this commandment to experience joy on the other hand here at this holiday of Sukkot. Now, I think there's part of it that says, standing one-on-one before the Kadosh Baruch Hu, before God on Yom Kippur, we place ourselves literally at death's door. We really embrace and own that sense of fragility of life. And then we say, in the midst of that, because of our fragility, because of our awareness of how close to death we came, we should know joy. And I think of the 23rd Psalm. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. What's the next verse? My cup runneth over. Speaking directly to God. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you, God, are with me. My cup runneth over. Even though here I am confronting death, not even though, because I'm here confronting death, God, I feel your presence. And in our scariest moments and in our most difficult moments, we revel in feeling God's presence. So perhaps we're supposed to experience this season of our joy because we just confronted death so closely on Yom Kippur. But perhaps it's hahefech, perhaps it's the opposite. Maybe we're supposed to have this season of joy despite the fact that we got so close to death on Yom Kippur. And we're supposed to find ways to be joyful even though, despite the fact that we sensed death's closeness on Yom Kippur. So I was researching this a little bit during the week, and I came across the most amazing website. And you're welcome to take out the sheet, hopefully you picked up on the way in. NPR has a joy generator. When you're feeling really down, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling anxious, when you feel like you just confronted death head on, you can go to the joy generator and feel better. Now, what does the first thing that popped up, by the way, when I went to NPR's joy generator, was puppy dogs playing with each other. And all of a sudden, I felt better. The puppy dogs were playing with each other. And so you can even find on the back page, under letter G, one of the ways that researchers have found that we can overcome our depression, our sadness, our anxiety, our fear, our confrontation with fragility of life, with the power of cute. Researchers showed 30-minute montages of cute animal videos to stressed university students, and guess what? Their blood pressure, heart rate, and anxiety dropped. Pretty good. All you need is 30 minutes of watching puppy dogs play with each other. And you can go down this list that I pulled off, and they've got videos for each of these. Let's reminisce. They talk about the power of nostalgia in overcoming sadness and fear and anxiety. They talk about finding your flow, getting creative in life. Finding a creative pursuit can actually help us to overcome our sadness. Soothing sounds. Anticipating really exciting things like a big trip. Shifting your perspective, finding awe in things. Poetry. We already talked about the power of cute, and then the call of the wild, listening to nature's sounds. And it occurred to me, after I was entirely blissed out by researching this website for several minutes, it occurred to me that this is the holiday of Sukkot. This is the holiday of Sukkot. Go down the list. Jewish holidays are infused with nostalgia. Creative pursuits. Here you have an opportunity to build a sukkah and design it any way you want it to be to reflect you. We immerse ourselves in nature and hear the beautiful sounds of crickets or of water, depending on where you live. We anticipate the holiday every year and the joy that exists in it. We are awed by this sense of being out in nature and understanding and appreciating God's great goodness in designing all of this. We have the poetry of our Hebrew Bible and our prayer service, from Hallel Psalms to the Torah readings. We're immersed in poetry. And then the power of cute. Because at the end of the day, Sukkot, like all Jewish holidays, is an intergenerational festival. We're supposed to have old people and we're supposed to have babies. That's how we celebrate Jewish holidays. God had figured out, maybe God didn't figure it out. God had already planned thousands of years ago in this holiday of Sukkot to say, here we are, we've just confronted death on Yom Kippur, And now here we have this holiday of Sukkot as a remedy, as Zman Simchatenu, as the season of our joy. So I'm curious what you think. Do we have this holiday of Sukkot because we had this confrontation with death on Yom Kippur? Or do we have this holiday of Sukkot despite the fact that we confronted death on Yom Kippur? How do we deal with this immediate juxtaposition of fragility and joy? And then as I was thinking about this and studying it, I came across a story. The story is told of a benevolent king who realized, looking around his village, how many homeless people there were in his kingdom. And so he decided by law, by decree of the king, to eliminate all of the shacks and homeless shelters and build beautiful homes for each and every one of the homeless people living in his kingdom. And sure enough, after this project, which took years, the king decided to go out into the kingdom and look around at all the beautiful homes being built and to see how few and really no homeless people there were because of these homes. And then he saw down one alley. Down one alley, there was a family living in an old, rusty shack, a rickety, rickety structure. And the king went up to them and said, what's going on? I said to build all these homes for all the homeless. How can you still be living in this shack, in this hut? And the people said, King, it was such a beautiful decree that you made, but I think they forgot about us. We were left behind. In that moment, the king issued a second decree. He said, from this year forward, we'll build a hut in the middle of our city, a rickety old shack, to remind us that never shall there be homeless living among us. And he made sure that family got a beautiful new home, and he put right in the middle of his kingdom a shack, a hut, a flimsy structure with the signs on it that say, never forget, no one left behind. Perhaps as we think about this holiday of Sukkot, we're going about it all the wrong way. Perhaps it's not a question of how do we balance our own sense of fragility with our own sense of joy. Perhaps the better question is to say, how do we look at the fragility experienced by others and to gift them a sense of joy? Because after all, on the Yom Kippur holiday, what do we read in our Haftarah Yom Kippur morning? Don't just fast for the sake of fasting. Don't just fast for the sake of the relationship between you and God. Think about all the hungry people who are still out there. Think about all the people who are still in chains and who are still suffering. So maybe on this holiday of Sukkot, it extends that idea a little further. You were hungry on Yom Kippur, and so you should remember to feed the hungry. On Sukkot, you feel like what it feels to be homeless. And so now go and reach out to the homeless living among you. Perhaps as we think about the juxtaposition between fragility and joy, it's not about us. It's about others. And so on this Shabbat of Sukkot, of Pesach, I almost said, on this Shabbat of Sukkot, in which we say to each other, Chag Sameach and Shabbat Shalom, on which we say to each other, Good Shabbos, Good Yantif. We can think about what it means for ourselves to juxtapose fragility and joy. And I'd like to suggest that maybe even more, we think about our obligation to go out to others who are experiencing fragility and to gift them joy as well. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be our will. And let us say together, Amen, Shabbat Shalom, and Chag Sameach.